is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmenTRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Good morning and welcome to TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go, the world's greatest radio. You are now in touch with The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am the co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is Radio the Way It Should Be Heard. Our call-in lines are going to be open right now. You can dial in at 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, at gmail.com. On a side note concerning the Gmails, we are so stacked up with Gmails that when you write in, that Gmail will not be read on this particular show, but it will be read at some point in another show. Update on the donations. To my best guess or estimate, we are at about $3,800. So that means that we are $300 or approximately $300 short of the goal of $4,100. Thank you to all of the callers that have called in and written to give their donations to the cause, particularly Miss Taylor. I said I would call out her name. Thank you for your contributions, and there are many others. I don't have the list in front of me right now, but when I do get a revised list, I will call your names out. Okay, without further ado, we are speaking with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. He is the author of the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, and he will explain more about that and his book that he has written. And let me say good morning, Mr. Fuller, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
You are still learning. Okay, on today's program, we're going to start off with the sixth area of people activity, which is politics. So we'll have Mr. Fuller explain that, and you can begin to call in, and we will see what's going on. Mr. Fuller, explain why the sixth area is politics, or what is politics in the system of racism, white supremacy.
Well, the compensatory definition I give, I do give definitions to words that I think are more, that would add more clarity and focus and understanding. So a question is simply raised, what is politics? Politics is any interaction between people. That's based on logic. If I change a definition of a word or modify it or something like that, and I have modified the word politics to suit the situation, I do believe, and it's supposed to be based on truth. So if I'm looking for the truth and I'm trying to use logic to find the truth, I say that what is politics? What is politics? What is, if we say that something is political, what are we really saying? Well, we're really saying interaction between people. Any interaction between people. If you raise that question, what interaction between people constitutes politics? Any interaction. A person saying hello to another person in the morning in the office and whatnot. That's political. It's an interaction between one person with another. Any interaction between one person with another is political. So if a person raises the question, are you in politics? If you talk to another person or interact with another person, even without talking, sign, or, you might say sign language, or you just, you're buying or selling something, and without saying anything verbally to a person, you might be a person who is mute. You're still involved in politics if you're interacting with another person. So that's what it is. I call it people relations. And that's how I describe it in the textbook for victims of racism. Anything that has to do with people is political. Anything. Doesn't matter what the interaction is.
All right. In the revised expanded edition of the code book, on page 167 is where we're going to start at. You said that during the existence of white supremacy, the interactions between white people and non-white people and between non-white people and each other can be best described as tacky, trashy, and or terroristic, or the tragic arrangement. For those that don't understand or are new to that, can you explain what the tragic arrangement theory is according to the compensatory logic?
Just what I said. I call it the 3 T's. Tacky, trashy, terroristic. In other words, in the system of white supremacy, it doesn't get any better than that. And it doesn't get any better than tacky. Interaction. During the existence of white supremacy among the people of this entire planet, we have a very tacky interaction. We're talking about politics now being any interaction between people. So what is the quality of the interaction between the people of this planet during the existence of the system of racism, which makes everything the way that it, in interaction between people, the way that it shouldn't be. There are no people that interact with each other anywhere on this planet in this system that we have, this world government called the system of white supremacy, who interact with each other the way that people should interact with each other. Even when it looks like it's perfect, when it looks like people are just doing just great, that the interaction between people is the way that it ought to be, is because we are using a substandard. Because you can't have a correct interaction between people on a planet where you have a government of the entire planet that is designed to willfully and deliberately mistreat people. And that government is called the system of racism and or white supremacy. It's just one government on the planet, the dominant government. People might say that, well, there's all kinds of governments and whatnot, but you might, if you want to tell the truth, the dominant factor in people's behavior on this planet is what color somebody is. That's the dominant factor. That is taken into consideration before anything is taken into consideration. And it's called a system of racism and or white supremacy, unfortunately. So this makes all interaction between people not what it should be. There is no way that people can have any interaction, so-called mother with son, daughter with cousins, school teachers with students. None of the interactions are the way that they ought to be in a system of racism. Why? Because the system of racism is designed to do what? Dominate and mistreat people based on color. And that is the dominant government of the entire planet. So you can't have interactions between people that is the way that it should be. And we have never experienced that since the beginning of racism. And there's never been in recorded history any interaction between people where you didn't have people being mistreated. So you've never had what you call a perfect government on the planet. And I think that's why even the people who own slaves, like the founders of the Constitution in the Northwestern Hemisphere, they, when they wrote a Constitution and they began to form what they called a new government, I mean, kind of breaking out of the old European system, the people in the Northwestern Hemisphere assemble and they say, we're going to form a new type of government, and it's going to be a more perfect union. Now, I don't know what more perfect could have meant. I mean, perfect is perfect. So how can you be more perfect if you're perfect? But this is the terminology that they use. They were kind of stumbling and fumbling, apparently, with the language because they were trying to break away from something that had gone in the past and come up with something new. But no one has come up with anything new yet that has made people have interaction with each other. That's the way, hypothetically, that it should be. What type of world government should be in place? And I say a government that's never been in recorded history, and that is, based on logic, a government of justice. And what would that mean? You have to guarantee that no person is mistreated. You have to guarantee that no person is mistreated. That should be a guarantee. And you have to guarantee that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. There's never been a government in recorded history of any kind, anywhere on the planet, in recorded history, that could fill that bill. But that should be the goal of all correct thinking people. But what we have now is this tragic arrangement that doesn't get any better than tacky. There's 3 T's of that tragic arrangement between all people on the planet because of the existence of racism. And that is tacky, trashy, terroristic. Now you watch people as they go about doing whatever they're doing every day. For one thing, you have hypocrisy. Just in the way people go about talking to each other, you can almost feel the hypocrisy. People are smiling when they really don't mean to smile. People shake hands. People hug. People go through a lot of little rituals that are strictly surface. There's no depth to this at all. And the victims of racism, black people, do a lot of hugging and high-fiving and a lot of grinning and smiling. But because of the overlay of the system of racism, it doesn't have any depth. It won't hold up. If you just scratch the surface of it, that trashiness comes to the surface. And then if you try to improve on the trashiness, the terrorism kicks in. That's why in what we call black neighborhoods in the northwestern hemisphere and other parts of the world, selectively, black people have to walk around at midnight looking over their shoulders. Why? Because they fear being harmed by whom? Other black people. But the system of white supremacy brings this about. All the situations are full of anxiety. You don't have a situation anywhere on the planet that's the way it ought to be. Between black people or between white people, and certainly not between black people with white people. Nowhere on this planet do you have a situation that even comes close. According to what? According to the way that it should be, according to logic.
TalkTameItRadio.com is a 24/7, no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Now, here's several that I would like to share with you. One is called The John Coates Show. Another one, The Voice of Deliverance. And another one, It's Your Time. Now, all these shows are exclusive to TalkTameItRadio.com, and you can go to TalkTameItRadio.com, click on programs for the scheduled times. TalkTameItRadio.com. That's radio, the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Our subject for the next few weeks will be the 6th area of people activity called politics, and we've been speaking with Mr. Fuller, and he's been explaining that to you. You can get in on the subject if you'd like by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you may Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. Continuing in on the subject Politics. You mentioned tragic arrangement. You said that, or mentioned in your book, suggested what is needed is a functional, quote, codified quality relationship to replace this tragic arrangement. What does that mean, Mr. Fuller?
It means that we should all be aiming, every person on the planet, regardless of who that person might be, every person on the planet, according to logic, should be trying to evolve in a universal man or a universal woman. Now, what do I mean by that? A person with total quality characteristics. What do I mean by quality characteristics? All constructive. Everything about the person is constructive. Nothing non-constructive. That's what we should all be aiming to become as individuals, without looking over our shoulders or consulting anybody. I mean, with anything else in mind other than I'm going to try to become, if you are a male, a universal man, have all of the characteristics of a universal man. And this, I give some hypothetical ones in the textbook for victims of racism in the compensatory code. And also, if you're a female, try to become universal woman as an individual person, without looking to see if anybody else is trying to become one or anything like that. You try to become one. I should be trying to become one every minute of the day. Meaning what? Meaning acquire all of the characteristics, not some, all of the characteristics that would make a person of maximum constructive value to the environment that we have been given by the creator of this environment called the planet Earth. To be completely in the best behavior, you might say, all the time, not some of the time, all of the time, so that everything that we say, everything that we think, everything that we do as individuals, regardless of where we are on the planet, any minute of any day or night, we will do things and say things that will produce a quality, constructive result. Always be in that constructive mode, never non-constructive. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that sounds like, making everybody robots and whatnot, people without feelings and people who can't have fun. That's one of the first things that people usually think of. Oh, no, it's just a new way of looking at ways of having fun and make those ways constructive. Get rid of the habits that we have been taught under the system of white supremacy, that in order to have fun, you have to be in some kind of tavern falling down drunk. That's what we call fun. We've been taught that, and we all fell in line behind that. I mean, fun has to do with something that is definitely non-constructive. And we are raised up that way, and we got in the habit of thinking that way. But just like we acquired that habit, we can say, no, you don't have to be non-constructive. You don't have to do people harm or harm yourself in order to have fun. And you can just sit down and orchestrate a way to have fun that is always constructive and doesn't hurt anybody. And nobody gets hurt, and nobody's feelings get hurt, or none of that. That is possible. And it's something that doesn't have to be, you have to gear up for over a long period of time. It can be done in a fraction of a second. I mean, you just decide to do it. I'm not doing anything that's non-constructive. And the constructive things that I'm doing is going to be fun. That's all. You just make that decision. People, when they sometimes talk about this particular thing, about the establishment of universal man and universal woman, how difficult that would be. No, it's just a decision that you can make. You can do it in the next 5 minutes. just started saying, I'm not doing this nonsense that I usually do. I'm not going to sit up and I'm not going to a party and eat just because the food is there, and just try to eat everything that's there because the food is there. And then later on, I'm taking all kind of medicine, running to the doctor. I'm severely overweight. I'm harming my body. My body is crying out, give me some relief. Don't keep stuffing me with that junk. My goodness. I mean, my kidneys. I mean, the kidneys are crying out. The kidneys can talk. Liver can talk. They can communicate. They communicate by having pain. They are letting you know, hey, give me some relief. I got to have some rest. There's too much stuff coming down here. I mean, there's everything that's coming down the chute and this dumping on me and whatnot, and I'm trying to put it here and put it there. I can't find space to put this. I got to start pushing your body, the edges of your body, all out in different directions. And now you're waddling down the street. You can't get on the bus. I mean, you're too big for the bus door. And in other parts of the world, it's just the opposite. People are as thin as a broom because of what? The white supremacists are starving them to death. They're loading us up with junk food in one area of the world, and in other areas of the world, too many areas of the world, not giving you even a leaf off of a tree to eat, and putting you in a situation, if you're a person of color, where you have nothing to eat but dirt and sand, and there's no food within hundreds of miles. Maybe a little nibble here and a little nibble there. When there's plenty of food that is being thrown away by the white supremacists every day, tons of it. There are places on this planet as we speak right now where tons of edible food, I mean fresh food, not rotten food, fresh food, freshly out of the ground, tons and tons and tons and tons. I mean, food as far as the eye can see if you lay it out there in a field. And it's being thrown away every day. To keep it from what? Keep it from spoiling or whatnot, or because they don't have storage space or whatever? No. Because we're starving the people who need it, the people of color. That's what we do. We know they need this food. We could give it to them. We could, arrange for them to work for it or whatever. But no, we want them to starve. We want them to starve. And we arrange to have them put in different places on the planet where they can't get to the food and all like that. And we can get it to them, but we won't do it. Why? We want them to starve. We want them to be beggars for food. Not to say anything about getting anything else, because if you're starving, you're not going to be thinking about anything else except just getting something decent to eat. So that's a part of this tacky arrangement that we have on the planet, starving people to death. And that's terroristic, because people become fearful. That's all political. This is the way that people interact with each other on this wonderful planet that the Creator has given us that can take care of everybody on this planet with ease. I mean, with ease. The Creator put everything here that can take care of everybody. But the white supremacists, in their arrogance and in their just decided that they want to be, just show people that they can push them around. That's all it's really about. And they just say, we're not going to do that. We're not going along with a wonderful creation that we have all been given here. We're not going along with a smooth-running program. We are against that. We like all of this agony. It's entertaining to dominate and mistreat people. It's very entertaining. That's the white supremacist philosophy.
Okay. You mentioned that for racists, universal man and universal woman, you said some compensatory suggested basic characteristics of universal man and for universal woman could be as follows. Now, you have several suggestions, but I'm going to comment on three or read three and then have you comment on them. Number one that I want to bring out is eats and sleeps correctly and only as necessary. Number two, engages in sexual intercourse no more than 2 times every 7 days and uses a minimum of time and materials in regard to such arrangements. And 3, is not violent and is counter-violent only out of constructive necessity. Could you speak to those 3?
Well, you eat and sleep correctly. I've already covered that.
Yes.
You know, you don't oversleep and you don't undersleep as best you can in this system of racism if you're a person of color, because they don't want you to get any adequate rest at all. And they definitely don't want you to eat correctly. You know, wherever there are non-white people, they'll bring you a whole bunch of artificial food. It's not real food. It's artificial. It's a bunch of junk. It's made out of plastic. And they'll say, well, eat this. And back in the days of what they call formal slavery in the Northwestern Hemisphere, they got black people in the habit of eating what they threw away. And black people got to the place where they had an appetite for it. And we started calling it soul food. Well, I guess you could say that that's the correct name for it, because you will go from having a body to just having a soul if you eat tons of it. And back in the old days, we could eat it and survive because we worked it off. We worked so hard, lifting that bale, toting that barge or whatever, toting that barge and lifting the bale, okay? And so in that sweat that we would work up, we would pop all that poison out. But nowadays, in most of the cities of the Northwestern Hemisphere, a lot of black people are told to eat certain types of what they call soul food, what we got in the habit of eating. And it's the type of nutrition, if you would call it that, that's really not the best for the body. And it's been proven that it gives you high blood pressure and diabetes and all this type of thing. You have all kind of ailments. And it comes from, a lot of it is animal type food that is, and the animals themselves are given all types of injections of this and that and the other. And it becomes poisonous. So actually, when you eat it, you're poisoning your body. Very little vegetables of any kind that are fresh, and some of the vegetables have poison in it. So we try to eat correctly and try to sleep correctly as best we can, even though we know that we are given all of this poison.
Talk to him at radio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Go where you go. Download the Talk to him at radio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio, the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., and our on-subject topic is politics, and you can call in at 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at the numeral 7, MrBobby@gmail.com. Before we go to the phone lines, Mr. Fuller, could you speak very quickly about your book?
Yes, you can get the book and the information about Universal Man and Universal Woman by going to producejustice.com. And what will come up on the screen is the method for ordering. That's producejustice.com. And it will cover, when you get the book, you'll see that it covers a lot of the things for the most part. In fact, everything that I do comes out of the book that is being presented here on this program. And goes into details. And the book is written for the individual person, what the individual person can do in becoming, and that includes in becoming universal man or universal woman. That's included here in the book.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not just a matter of getting rid of racism. If you get rid of racism, what are you going to replace it with? You're going to replace it with the equality of people who are not racist and who are not victims of racism, but they are not practicing racism or any other form of non-just harm, any other form of non-just or incorrect activity. We should be in tune with the universe. Everybody on this planet, we're in the universe. We should become quality people in tune with the best that there is of the universe. The universe itself may be out of balance, but we shouldn't be out of balance. We have brains, we have hands, eyes, ears. We should be using it to produce, first of all, quality people, become quality people as individuals ourselves. And that's what the book is about. Not just getting rid of racism. We got to go beyond that and replace racism and all these other forms of non-just activities with people who are quality people who are fit to be on this planet, like we can presume the creator of this planet intended for us to be. That should be our goal. Anything short of that is unacceptable. And that's what the book is really about.
Okay.
Go to producejustice.com.
All righty. Let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1. Okay. You're now on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Go ahead.
Yes.
Could you speak up?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Not really. We can't hear you. Let's see if we can adjust that. Okay, speak up now.
Okay, can you hear me better?
Can you hear him, Mr. Fuller?
I can't hear anybody.
Galen, can you turn that up a little bit? Okay. Let's see here. Okay, caller, go ahead.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Mr. Fuller, can you hear him now?
Can't hear anybody.
Okay. I'll tell you what, caller. Repeat the question to me, and then I will say the question to me, and I will repeat it to Mr. Fuller. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, when I talk about white supremacy, I get pushback from, I've had conversation twice, and I get pushback from people who don't even want to acknowledge that white supremacy exists, but then when I bring them the logical facts of it, as far as what do non-white people produce in this world, they can't answer the question, but they still say, I'm not going to put anybody over me.
Okay.
So my question is, how, if Mr. Fuller was in the same situation, what is the correct, most compensatory way to handle that situation?
Okay.
I'll hang up.
Wait a minute. What is the correct compensatory way to handle what now?
Someone just denying the fact that white supremacy exists. Now,
Someone denying the fact that white supremacy exists, okay?
Even when they're posed with the fact that non-white people don't produce anything in this world.
Even when they are exposed to the fact that white people do not produce anything in the world?
No, non-white.
Non-white, okay. Mr. Fuller?
Oh, people say that all the time. So that goes with the territory. The white supremacists have done very well at saying that they don't exist. I mean, that's basically what they say. They say, no such thing as racism. Who's making this up? Nobody's mistreating non-white people. Nobody's doing anything to people of color. I mean, where did that come from? I mean, the white supremacists will look anybody right in the eye and say, hey, a person being mistreated based on color on this planet? No. You got it all wrong, buddy. I mean, people might be mistreated, but not on account of any color.
Mm-hmm.
And they will say that and look you right in the eye and say it. And do you know what? A lot of black people who did believe that racism exists, when the white supremacists come around, because they know how to, they can cry crocodile tears and all of that. And it's just somehow by magic, you might say, but I say it's just plain old white supremacist strategy. They're good at what they do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They're good at what they do. and they'll look you right in the eye. They'll look a slave right in the eye and say, "You're not a slave, you're a master." And in 5 minutes, that black person will be saying, "I'm not a slave, I'm a master." Why? That guy just told me so. And he knows everything. And they don't see the contradiction at all.
Okay.
So it's totally understandable.
Yes, sir.
Victims of racism have been so victimized that they can't see that they are victimized. That's always been. There were a lot of slaves on the old plantation who says, "I'm not a slave." "What do you mean I'm a slave? These are my co-workers. Those white people up there in that big house, they're my co-workers." You say, "Well, why did you come to that conclusion, Sam?" "Because they said so." That's all it took. That's all that it took.
Okay. Let's go to line number 2. Okay. Line number 2, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Now, I may have to repeat the question to Mr. Fuller so he can hear it, but go ahead and speak.
Good morning. Can y'all hear me clearly?
Okay. Can you hear him, Mr. Fuller?
I can hear someone saying something.
Okay. If you can't hear him, then say that to me. Go ahead, caller.
Okay. Increasingly, I see more homeless people and more people begging on the streets and on the subway, asking for money. I wondered what Mr. Fuller's opinion is. Should I give them money? What would you do?
Okay, Mr. Fuller?
I didn't hear the
Okay.
question.
He said he meets a lot of people that are homeless on the subways and byways. He said, should he give them money? Is that correct, caller?
Yes.
Yeah. He said, should he give them money?
The code, according to what I've written, you only give what you can afford to give to someone who needs help. Here again, it comes down to what are we on this planet for? We are on this planet to be constructive people. So any help that you give anybody, try to do it in a constructive manner. But if you can't afford to give anything because you need help yourself, then you can't give to someone else. Follow the logic. That's all you have to do. Follow the logic. If you have money, that you would ordinarily just more or less throw away, just, gambling or whatever, and you don't really care whether you lose it or not because you have that kind of money. And then, if you have, even if you are kind of pinched for money, but you have a little bit that you can give to someone to help them out for a sandwich or something like that, then do so. Otherwise, don't do it. You just make your own judgment about that, about your own situation, because there's one law of the universe, and that is you can't help anybody before you help yourself. You have to get in position yourself to help yourself first before you can help anybody else. Now, that's a universal principle. Case in point. I'll just give a simple illustration. The car seat belt and all that. What do they say? You put the child in. The child is helpless. You make sure that the child is secure first in its seat belt. And then you get in the front seat and you put on your own seat belt after you make sure that the child is properly seated, safely seated. Why is this? Because you have more going for you than the child. The child doesn't know how to get in the car seat and all like that and make sure that everything is secure. So you have to do that for the child. The child is in a weaker position than you. So that's just a procedure. It's the same in aircraft and whatnot. The people who master the aircraft, they say, fasten your seatbelt. And someone comes up and down the aisle and makes sure that your seatbelt is fastened because you are in a weaker position, you might say, or, you're forgetful or you don't think about it or you don't think it's important and all like that. Well, somebody else who knows better, they will come and tell you to do this because that is a better procedure or that's the procedure that fits the occasion. And it's the same way when someone asks you for a handout. Everyone on the planet needs some type of help from someone who is able to give the help. And so if you're able to give the help, just a few coin, some people can give a lot of help, like the people who donate to this program and whatnot. Now, they are not, they I guess, they say for the second hour, I don't receive anything from it and all like that, but people say they wanted it. So the people who give should be people who are able to give. You don't hurt someone else, in order to do that. You make sure that you don't hurt yourself or someone else in order to do something for someone. The white supremacists, they believe in hurting people even when they can help people, because they get fun out of that. That's what racism is. It's getting fun out of hurting people, deliberately hurting people, going and looking for people that you can hurt. I mean, it's not a necessary thing at all, even though they will claim that it's necessary. It's just necessary for their egos. We don't want to have that type of thought at all. But in answer to the question, give what you can afford to give, but don't give any more. Don't give any more than what you can afford to give, and you have to use your own judgment about that.
All righty. TalkTameAtRadio.com. We go where you go. Download the TalkTameAtRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Our subject for the next few weeks will be politics, and if you would like to get involved, you can call 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. Side note on the Gmails, if you do choose that route, because we are so stacked up, I don't know when I will get to your Gmails, but I will get to them at some point and in some show. And before we take the call, the donations, we're up to $3,800, $300 short of our goal. So keep on doing it. Click the Talk Entertainment Radio homepage, click the donate button, and you're in. Let's go to the caller. Okay, caller, you are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr.
Hello?
Yes. Now, I'll tell you what, he's not going to hear you, so give the question to me so that I can repeat it to Mr. Fuller. So go slowly so I can repeat it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, good morning to you and Dr. Fuller as well. I called before, and I tried to catch most of Dr. Neely Fuller's lectures, but they were out. I'm sure you're aware of that. You guys post them back. You guys do the podcast. You post them back on YouTube so you can follow up on the lecture. But you're aware that a few of them have been wiped out, correct?
Yes, they are aware of it.
Now, I was also told there's an alternative site you can go to. I went to that site, and I get the same result.
Okay, now, for
and
that,
then,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Ahead. And what I'm saying is that, and the ones they're wiping out are the ones that are really a necessity of knowledge that I've been really trying to what's what I'm looking for? Really trying to incorporate and use and somebody. And Mr. Fuller is one of the wisest men I've ever heard.
Yes, sir.
And I can't seem to get it. So the government, you guys are really doing your job. It's got the attention of the government. Okay, that's more than local.
Yes.
But let you guys know that, give you guys, let you know how strong you guys are.
Okay.
But is there any other alternate I can go to? Because I went to Talk to the Radio where you check the Fast Podcast. All it has is the contact information.
Yes, sir.
I cannot get anything uploaded at all.
Okay. Okay. Here's the thing, Mr. Fuller. He was saying that he appreciates.
My name is George, by the way.
Okay, George. He appreciates the knowledge that you have given. He tries to listen to the broadcast of it live and also on the various outlets that have your show, in particular TalkTameAtRadio.com. But he's having problems in getting the shows. Some shows that I guess he's indicating that Talktainment has produced are not up online. Now, of course, I know you, Mr. Fuller, don't have anything to do with that, and neither do I. But for the caller, the only thing that I can tell you what to do is I'm going to give you an email address, and you can speak with the person in charge of that, and maybe they can give you some assistance. Are you ready?
I will be in about 5 seconds.
Okay.
I didn't know I would have to be grabbing a pen.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, now, here's what you have to do. Contact E. Dozier. That's,
okay, what is that, sir? Tell it to me, please.
Yeah, E, just the letter E. E. Dozier, D-O-Z-I-E-R. E. Dozier.
Could you start it back, please? I'm sorry.
Okay, the letter E.
Yes.
And then Dozier, D-O-Z-I-E-R. at talktainmentradio.com.
Now, between E and Dozier, is there any kind of comma? Or
no, all one word, E. Dozier.
Now, is it case sensitive? How should I write that?
Just put it in.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you, sir. Okay.
All right.
All righty. Okay, Mr. Fuller, again, he was just saying how grateful he is for the knowledge that you drop, and he was really appreciative and wants to get some of the back programming. Do you have any comment for that?
Well, I'm just saying that everybody should be trying to think constructively. I mean, I'm trying to get people really not to look to Neely Fuller like he's some type of leader. I'm nobody's leader. I'm not qualified to lead anybody around the corner. I'm trying to get people to think in terms of following logic, which is what the white supremacists have tried to keep black people, people of color, black, brown, red, yellow, all non-white people from doing. And they always want people to follow people, particularly among the people that they want to suppress. Why? Because they want to be ultimately the people that everybody follows, the white supremacists, so they can keep the system of white supremacy going. But if the people start tapping into logic, they can lead themselves as individuals, even when there's nobody else around, because the creator of the universe gave everybody a brain. That brain is supposed to be used, not to go around and look for leadership. The leadership is in the universe all around you. The white supremacists put a thing called logic into the universe. What is logic? It means cause and effect. You know, every fire will burn, water is wet. I mean, just look at the things that are around you and try to make sense of it. That's all that a leader does. Looks at things that's going around, you know, the things that the trees, the water, fire, the sky, clouds, and whatnot, and try to figure out what these things do. And then try to figure out how best to behave in the midst of all these things that we have been given. And we use a brain to do that. The brain tries to figure things out. And that's what each and every individual is supposed to do. But a master deceiver, like the white supremacists, say, oh no, act like you don't have a brain, except your brain will just be used to receive messages from me. And I will tell you what to do and what not to do, and how to think, and how to speak, and how to act, and all of it is going to be something that's going to be non-constructive for you, but I ain't going to tell you that. And even if I do tell you, you're going to be so far gone that you're not going to be able to change anyway. And that's the white supremacist philosophy of the way to run this planet. That's why they should be put out of business. They never should have been in this business in the first place, since that's what they have been doing. And they've got everybody all messed up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's go to the phone lines. Okay, caller, you are now on with Mr. Fuller. Repeat the question to me, and then I will repeat it to Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please. Okay, caller?
Can I be heard?
Yes, I can hear you. Again, I don't know if
I was just waiting for you to say either line one or line two.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, the activity is popularly called mentoring programs, and it's actually is older, non-white people, male and female, who are using this terminology with the idea in mind of training and or sharing with younger people things that they think that they should know about or aspire to do, as opposed to the more incorrect things like gangs or any other trouble that a younger person get into.
Okay, wait a minute.
My question is, I would like for Mr. Fuller to just talk on the subject and about the word mentoring.
Okay, mentoring. Okay,
yes.
Mr. Fuller, if you did not hear that, he was speaking about mentoring programs, training and sharing with young people. Is that right, caller?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Fuller?
Yes, but a mentor should never be a person. I want to nail that down right now. Don't ever say that I'm going to be your mentor or listen to your mentors. No, your mentor is logic, because that's what any person who says that they're going to do some mentoring to other people, that person who is going to do the mentoring is supposed to be following the logic that came with the universe. See, whatever created the universe created a certain type of order for things. The sun does certain things. The moon does certain things. I mean, the leaves grow in a certain way. I mean, you have seasons here on this planet. You have autumn, you have spring, you have winter. All of these seasons serve a purpose. So we should observe the seasons, study, how this works. And that's how you become what you call intelligent. The white supremacists understand this because they couldn't function if they didn't understand that. They tap into it, but then they begin to pervert it, like they pervert everything in every area of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. See, when the white supremacists look at anything, they say, I'm going to take it and fashion it in something that I want it to be. I'm going to take whatever I look at, sand, dirt, water, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to put my spin on it. And I'm going to do this in a way where I can harm people of color and then laugh about it. And this is how I'm going to spend my entire life. And I'm going to teach everybody else to do that. And I'm going to teach the people of color to do that to each other. Just everything that you touch, pervert it. Send it in another direction that it shouldn't go in. I mean, and make a joke of everything that's harmful. And just say that this is the way life should be. And so we should be doing just the opposite once we realize what they're doing and how they do it. And that takes some doing, too, realizing what they're doing and how they do it, because they're very deceptive in the way that they go about doing things. But you better believe whatever they're doing, no matter how it looks on the surface, is geared up to do harm. It's geared up to do something that is tragic, because that's what they like. They've geared their minds to do that. They don't like anything the way that it ought to be. And they teach everybody else to be the same way.
Thanks for listening. This is Radio the Way It Should Be Heard. TalkTainmentRadio.com. Stay tuned for the second hour.
Thanks for listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard.
You've got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTainmentRadio.com. TalkTainment Radio, worldwide sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of Talktainmentradio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Good morning again, and welcome to the second hour of the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller on TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go on the world's greatest radio. You are in touch with the Compensatory Concept, and I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is Radio the Way It Should Be Heard. Our topic for the next 6 weeks is going to be politics. If you didn't hear any of it in the first, in the first hour, we will talk about it in this particular hour. Mr. Fuller is the author of the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a textbook workbook for thought, speech, and action for victims of racism, which is white supremacy. We've been taking your calls. Haven't got a chance to read any Gmails yet. You can call in by calling 1-877-932-9766. Or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. If you do choose to do a Gmail, I will not read it today, and I don't know for sure when I will get to read it. As you can see, for those of you who've been with the show, it's very difficult now to read that because I'm trying to give Mr. Fuller complete autonomy to speak as long as he needs to speak on your questions or on whatever I may ask him. So the Gmails are going to get stacked up, but they will be read at some particular time. As far as donations concerned, we're up to $3,800. So we need to get to $4,100. So you know what you need to do. Thanks for those who have already participated. I don't have a list in front of me anymore, so I can't call your names out, but when I do get that list, I will call your names out. Okay, 1-877-932-9766. We're going to take your calls. What line are we going to go to? Line number 1, you are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Repeat your question to me, and then I will repeat it to Mr. Fuller. I know it's laborious, but that's the way we have to do it right now. Go ahead with your question, please.
Good morning. My question is in regards to the book on page 201 at the bottom.
201 at the bottom? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, Mr. Fuller, he's speaking about going to page 201 at the bottom. Now, you're speaking on the revised expanded edition, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, go ahead, sir.
So the paragraph, is it okay for me to read it?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
It says, according to the compensatory counter-racist logic, the basic qualifications for a black leader are as follows. 1, a black leader must know and understand what white supremacy racism is and how it works in all areas of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war and counter-war. 2, a black leader must not be subject to the system of white supremacy, either directly or indirectly in any area of activity. 3, a black leader must be ready, willing, and able to protect all of his or her followers. Now, what can one say that as far as protecting includes saving?
Include what? Saving?
Includes saving. Now,
okay, wait a minute, Mr. Fuller. He's speaking about the information or suggestions that you have written on page 201 of the revised expanded edition. According to the compensatory counter-racist logic, the basic qualifications for a black leader are, and he read the first 3. And then your question was, does that include what, sir?
does that include, as it mentions, number 3 must be able to protect all of his or her followers. Now, as far as protection, does that include saving?
Saving.
Now,
what do you mean saving?
Now, that's why I'm going into it. Saving. Now, after reading what he wrote, it seems like the only person
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, I know. I know, Mr. Fuller. That's why I'm trying to get a question from him. I'm sorry, sir.
I'm wondering if the audience can hear his question.
Now, is it safe to assume that the Messiah is a black man?
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, let me explain to Mr. Fuller what's going on. Mr. Fuller, the audience can hear him. For some reason, you can't hear him. That's why I'm having him or the callers ask the question, then I'm repeating it to you. So there will be silence on your part, and then I will repeat whatever the question, whether the callers are saying, and then you can address the questions. That's why that's why there's that gap in there.
Okay.
Now, he was speaking of the black leader, according to what you have written on page 201 of the Revised Expanded Edition. A black leader must be ready, willing, and able to protect all from his or her followers. And he mentioned the word saving. Now, saving, you mean saving them, caller?
Yes.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold it. He meant saving them. Mr. Fuller, can you address that?
What do you mean by saving? I have 3 things that are listed there that are black leader that are basic. There are other things, but I'm saying these are the basic qualifications. If a black leader can't protect his or her followers, you're not in a position of leadership. You have to be able to protect your followers. Otherwise, you're just a spokesperson. I'm a spokesperson. See, in other words, what is a black spokesperson? A black spokesperson is a person that does what? Speak. I'm speaking, but I'm a fellow prisoner. All non-white people in the system of white supremacy are prisoners of war, according to what? According to the evidence, according to logic. That's what white supremacy means. It's supreme over all non-white people. You don't have any extra non-white people somewhere standing on the side looking at the system of white supremacy from the outside. Doesn't work like that. White supremacy means you're supreme over all non-white people. So that means all non-white people are prisoners of war, including Neely Fuller. I am a prisoner of war. I am a fellow prisoner. I'm nobody's leader. I'm not qualified to be anybody's leader. You can't be a leader and be inside the prison of the people that you're trying to lead. You have to be independent to be a leader. Independent of what? Independent of the people who are suppressing the people that you're trying to help. If you are one of them, you're just another prisoner in the prison yard. I'll give that illustration. If I'm walking around like the character in Shawshank Redemption, Andy Dufresne, a fellow prisoner, I am equal to all the other prisoners, even though some prisoners might have college degrees, some prisoners might not have any degrees, some prisoners are bigger than others, some prisoners are smaller than others, some prisoners are given more favors than others. This is the way a prison is run. But they are still prisoners. They are all equal to each other. So how can you be a leader inside of a prison when you're a prisoner yourself? That's not logical.
Okay. Go ahead, caller.
Mr. Bobby, in regards to that paragraph, what I was alluding to was that is it safe to assume that only the Messiah can truly be the leader of the people?
Okay.
Because the Bible does say that he has overcome the world.
Okay, let me ask Mr. Fuller that. Mr. Fuller, the caller is saying, is it safe to assume that the Messiah is the only one that can be a leader?
The Messiah?
Yes.
Meaning the Messiah according to what?
The Christ.
The Christ, according to what the Bible has.
Oh, we're talking about Christianity. Now,
No, well, I'm talking about the Messiah, not
that comes up to what a person chooses to believe. If you're talking about the seventh area of activity, that's a different area of activity. That's religion. Now, if you want to believe that, or if your religion requires you to believe that you have a Messiah, a Savior, regardless of what your religion is, you follow your religion. Don't follow anything that anybody says, Neely Fuller or anybody else. You follow whatever your religion prescribes. That's what I have in my book. Always practice your religion. If you're not practicing your religion, then you can't claim that you have that religion. Religion is something that you practice. And you go all the way with your religion. You don't half-step on your religion. That goes with what? Logic, the logic of the universe. Any person that says my religion is Christianity, or a person says my religion is Judaism, or my religion is Islam, or Hinduism, or Confucianism. Hello?
Okay.
I hear somebody talking.
Okay. All righty. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Bobby.
Yes.
Yes. You know how Mr. Fuller.
Am I talking over someone or what?
No, there seems to be a problem. We can hear him, but you can't hear him. The people can hear you, but they can't hear. You can't hear the question. So I am the go-between. So
I understand that, but I was answering a question, but I heard somebody else talking at the same time.
Yeah, and both of you are speaking to me at the same time. So this is what I'm going to do. Caller, go ahead with your question. Make it short so I can relay it to Mr. Fuller so he can properly answer that.
Okay, my next question is, I believe I emailed it to you. How do the white supremacists benefit by hiding the name of the Creator?
How do the white supremacists benefit by hiding the name of the Creator?
From the people, and why?
From the people? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Fuller.
Oh, the white supremacists. I have to answer that broadly. The white supremacists do anything that would give strength to the system of white supremacy. That's the best way I can answer it. That's in any area of activity. It's 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Now, in the field of religion, the white supremacists study all religions because they intend to be the supreme religion, and they have pulled that off among non-white people. The white supremacists are the strongest religion among the people of this planet right now. There's no religion stronger than the religion of white supremacy, and the evidence shows that. The white supremacists will look at everybody's religion: Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Confucianism, even some of the so-called tribal religions and whatnot. There are many of them, and then there are many facets of various religions, like in Hinduism, or like in Christianity, you have the Protestants and the Catholics, and they have some differences, but they agree on certain things, on certain basic things, and they disagree on others. Well, the white supremacist says, if you are a person of color, you will follow my religion, which is the religion of white supremacy. That's the name of it. But I will call myself by anything, because the white supremacists are deceitful. If they think that you believe in Christianity, then the white supremacists say, well, I'm a Christian. They'll come right up and look you right in the face, when really all they believe in is the religion of white supremacy. But they will call themselves a Christian. And if you say that, well, you believe in Judaism or whatnot, then white supremacists say, yeah, me too. They'll say anything. They don't care. As long as you do what they say do. That's the key. If you're trying to practice your religion and you are a person of color, and you are trying to practice your religion, and then you see that the white supremacists, when they come around, they are getting you to change parts of your religion to to conform to their program, because that's what they will do. And in fact, if they can't persuade you to do it, they'll just simply say, you better do it. And they'll say, hey, your religion is incompatible with what I'm telling you to do, because my religion is supreme to all religions. Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Confucianism, I don't care what your religion is, boy. You will do what my religion tells you to do. And my religion says that I'm supreme over everything that has to do with your business, the religion of white supremacy. And so far, they have proven that to be true among all the people of color on this planet. Everybody of color has had to cut corners on his or her religion when the white supremacists came and looked at your religion, truth be told, and say, oh, you can practice all the parts of your religion except the parts that I pick out to say that you can't practice, because then you're going to be on a collision course with me, and you don't want to fall out with me at all. I don't care what your God is. You fall out with me, and you are in big trouble if you're a person of color. And so far, the white supremacists have proven that to be true.
Mm-hmm. Okay, caller, that's it for you. That's as much as I can take for that particular call, but you're welcome to call in again. TalkTainmentradio.com is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcasting facility with hosts delivering on various topics such as news and lifestyle, sports, law, health, wellness, religion, and politics. And here's several more that I'd like to share with you. It's your time to travel is one. Father and Son Connection, and Real Men. All these shows, you can go to TalkTainmentRadio.com, click on programs for the scheduled times. TalkTainmentRadio.com, that's radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Our topic is politics. We are taking your calls at 1-877-932-9766 and Gmails at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby at gmail.com. When you do call in, I'm going to have to be the go-between between you and Mr. Fuller. So when you ask your question, do it slowly so that I can repeat it to Mr. Fuller, and then he can answer your question. Let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1, okay. Line number 2, okay. You're on with Mr. Neely Fuller. Go ahead with your question.
Hello, Mr. Neely Fuller. I wanted to know, what are some good characteristics?
What are some good characteristics of what, ma'am?
That you should find in a black woman.
Okay, she wanted to know what are some good characteristics that you should find in a black woman. Is that correct, caller?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Fuller?
Well, every person, like I've said at the earlier part of the program, everyone on the planet should be trying to be a universal man or a universal woman. And that would apply, these characteristics would be, first of all, in a world where the white supremacists has made telling lies a normal thing, saying things that are not true. So if you're going to be a universal man or a universal woman, you first of all say that you're not going along with anything that's false, that you're going to use the truth. Truth is what? That which is. And you're just going to reveal that which is and reveal it, that which is, tell it like it is, you might say, in such a way that you produce what? Produce a product called justice. That's what truth is supposed to produce. Truth just doesn't stand alone. Truth is that which is. That which is what? Whatever it is, according to the compensatory definition. But you want to use truth, whatever something is, in such a way that the product that is produced is justice, meaning guaranteeing that no person is mistreated, and correctness, guarantee that things are in order as far as things are concerned. That's what correctness is. So you have an equation here called truth plus justice plus correctness. And of course you have two features of justice, and that is guaranteeing that no person is mistreated, and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. Now, these are things you can just start with, because there's going to be a lot of ingredients in the evolving of universal man and universal woman, because you're going to have to cover everything that a person is likely to do or being involved in an entire existence here on this planet or in this universe. So you want to have all of your characteristics as you evolve. It's an evolutionary thing, meaning it's not already established. We got to become that. And so that means, like I said in the earlier part of the program, you have to eat correctly. You have to sleep correctly, and only as necessary. And that's something that I have to struggle with myself, even though I'm not overweight or anything like that. Some of my food intake is not the best, because we all get in the habit of eating some poisons, and it's just about all the food in the system of white supremacy has a degree of poison in it, because they believe in making everything artificial. Food, religion, sex, they want everything to be artificial, something with their stamp on it. They don't believe in taking it like it is, like the Creator created it, because they themselves have a sort of an attitude like they're taking the place of the Creator. The white supremacists, like most hierarchists, they call themselves royalty throughout the history of the world. When people start getting that real big head, and they look around and see that they have outsmarted everybody else, everybody in their family, all of their associates, and then gone all over the world and figured out that they know more than anybody else on the planet, then, unfortunately, people all down through history have taken this position that maybe they can take on the Creator itself, the thing that created them. They can become greater than the thing that created them, that entity, that spirit, or whatever we want to call it, that supreme being, that creator, the God. If you study the history of the arrogant people, of the people who became real smart, not wise, but smart, that they could dominate other people and have other people eaten out of their hand and whatnot. In every case, all down through history, they began to look around and say, you know what? Since I have all this power, and I seem to know more than everybody else and how to get things done better than anybody else, maybe, just maybe, I can take the place of that force, that God, that thing that people call the Creator. Maybe I can take its place. Maybe I can become greater than the thing that created me. And that has always led to a lot of misery, and that's what we have now. We have some people who call themselves white supremacists, who, because they can kick all of the people of color around, they say, oh, these people were created by a Creator. These people that I kick around. So this Creator probably didn't want these people kicked around, I don't guess, but I kick them around and do what I want to with them. And just maybe I can kick the Creator around. And unfortunately, this is the attitude of too many people on the planet. We don't want to be people like that. To answer the question, we don't ever want to get to the place where we think that we are greater than what created us. That doesn't make sense. That's not logical. Just carry out the mission that we think that we should be having. We have a brain that we have been given. We have hands. We have eyes. We should become universal men and universal women. Why? Because we are in the universe, not just in some ghetto, in something that the white supremacists set up and say this is what you are limited to, so you can go over there on the other side of the tracks and become great over there on the other side of the tracks, but you can't do nothing else. You can't go nowhere else without my permission. You can't do anything except what I tell you to do. No. All people, including white people who have the correct intentions should be becoming universal man and universal woman and finding out all of the characteristics that will make us completely constructive in everything that we think, everything that we say, and everything that we do in all areas of activity and enjoy doing it. That's the kind of people we should be in the process of becoming. But we can't do this in a system of white supremacy that's designed to do what? Nothing but mistreat people and destroy the environment.
Okay. Thank you very much for your call, caller. Let's go to line number 3. Okay. Okay, caller, you are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Say your question, repeat it slowly so that I can repeat it to him. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you. Wait a minute. Now speak.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, so repeat your question to me so I can repeat it to Mr. Fuller.
Can you ask Mr. Fuller, is he familiar with the mathematical term derivative?
Is he familiar with the mathematical term derivative?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Fuller, are you familiar with the mathematical term derivative?
Not within the mathematical context in its completion. So someone would have to tell me what they mean. That's another thing about words. When people use a word, even though the word may be popular and all like that, when a question is asked about what the word means, the person who is using the word should explain what it means. I know that's one of the requirements that I have for myself. If I use a word like the word justice, I should be able to explain exactly what that word means and what it doesn't mean. So I'm not familiar with what the caller would call the definition of the word derivative, because it would mean different things to different people. So I don't know what the mathematical definition is. I don't know.
Caller, would you want to explain your definition of derivative?
Yes, sir. It's just a straight line at one point.
A straight line what?
At one point.
A straight line at one point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm not sure that I'm tracking that. Mr. Fuller, he said derivative meaning a straight line at one point. I don't know what that means. Mr. Fuller?
Yes, I don't either.
Okay.
Except what the caller said that it is, a straight line of one point. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what the definition means either. Maybe the caller can give a definition of what that means in a practical sense and how it can be applied. Because the words that I have in the word guide, the compensatory word guide that you can get by going to producejustice.com, I describe what I say that justice means, what correctness means, what truth means, what racism is. I say that racism is white supremacy. A lot of people would disagree with that, but I say, logically speaking, if you have white supremacy, you can't have any other form of supremacy. I mean, as far as color is concerned, because you have white supremacy. You can't have two supremacists at the same time. Well, you know, you either have it or you don't. Something is either supreme or it isn't. See, in other words, I should be able to explain my terminology. Otherwise, I shouldn't use the terminology.
Yes. Okay. All right, caller, thank you. We'll have to look into that. I think I know what a derivative means, but nobody asked me, so I will not say it. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. You know what? We're not going to go to the phone lines because TalkTameItRadio.com. We go where you go. Check us out on 94.1 WGRN. Podcasts are available. You can download the TalkTameItRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. Coming up next, we're going to have more of your phone calls. And if you want me to, I will give you the answer to what derivative is. But more importantly, more of what Mr. Neely Fuller has to say. All that and more coming up next This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We are in the sixth area of people activity, politics. Mr. Fuller has it parenthesized, people relations. You can call in by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, at gmail.com. If you do use that, your Gmail will not be read today, and I cannot tell you when it will be read, but it will be read on some other show. Let's go to the phone lines. Okay, line number one. Okay, line number one. Say your question to me, and then I will repeat it to Mr. Fuller. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. This is a wonderful episode, by the way. I'm learning tons of information. My name is Anthony. I'm from Milledgeville, Georgia.
Anthony, okay.
My first question is, I struggle, too, with the food, as Mr. Fuller was talking about earlier. My first question is, how do we battle it to eat what we should eat? I found the Dr. Sebi diet, the alkaline diet. I want to know if he was familiar with that.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, so I can repeat it now. How do we do what now?
How do we battle our addiction to the wrong food?
How do we battle our addiction to the wrong food? Okay, wait a minute. Mr. Fuller?
Oh, you just try to do it. That's all. Try to find out what is the nutritious foods are from time to time, and that will change from time to time, presumably because the white supremacists, if they find out that non-white people are eating a certain type of food, then being the way that they are, you can suspect that what they'll do is start poisoning that food. Why? Because non-white people have decided that that's their favorite food. So as if that's the advertisement goes out, this is what non-white people, this is what black people eat, then the white supremacists will just get busy. It doesn't take them but just a few minutes to get busy doing it. And they will just simply say, we're going to put stuff in this food that they think is so great that's going to really poison their minds or their bodies or both. Because that's what we do. Because we don't want them to have anything that's going to be of constructive value. Even though we will present everything to them, not only just food, information, the forms of entertainment that we allow them to have. We're going to make sure that at the end of the day of the year or the decade, that it has a non-constructive effect, that it poisons them, poisons their minds, poisons their bodies. Why? Because we are white supremacists, and that's what we do. We dominate and mistreat people of color. That's our choice. That's how we think the world should be run. The whole world, at all times, in all areas of activity. So, what can you do about that? The best you can. Just by trying to find out whatever it is that has a little constructive nutrition to it, and try to eat that until you find out that it may be poison, and then try to find something else out to eat.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Yes.
Because it's kind of difficult to keep up with what the white supremacist shenanigans are always doing. And they're always doing something. They never stop. And they're always trying to do something harmful.
Yes, sir.
Even when they're real excellent at doing this, because they are masters at deception, so they know how to make things that are harmful look like they are very, very, very constructive. And that makes everything doubly difficult.
Okay. What is your second question, sir?
The second is brief. This week, I don't know if Mr. Fuller has seen it, but a prominent entertainment figure in the black community, the young black community primarily.
A prominent figure in the young black community? Okay.
Yeah, young black entertainment community came out wearing a dress.
Came out wearing a dress?
Yes. His name is Lil Uzi Vert. I don't know if I should say his name.
What's his name?
Lil Uzi Vert.
Lil Uzi Vert?
Yeah, Little Uzi Vert. He came out wearing a dress and toting a purse. And white supremacy made sure that they put it on every entertainment venue, internet, social media. It's viral.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold it, so I can tell Mr. Fuller. This person came out wearing a dress and a purse, and the social media and the other outlets made sure that they put this out so that people can see.
Yes.
Okay.
And my question to Mr. Fuller is, how could he have known? What indicator did he use back in the 70s or in the 60s when he realized that, I think I heard Dr. Wilson say that, he said it back in the 70s, that white supremacy is going to have men wearing dresses.
Okay.
How could he possibly foresee that?
Okay.
I mean, what did he use?
All right, let me ask him that. Mr. Fuller, he wants to know that back in the 60s and 70s, especially with Dr. Welsing, you had indicated that you foresaw men wearing dresses and this cross-culture stuff, purses and all that. He wanted to know, how could you foretell that this was going to happen?
Well, for one thing, you had a whole lot of males who were being, quote-unquote, raised by females, because the white supremacists set up a system that would automatically run the black male off and put him in a position where, he couldn't be a man. He's trying to be a man. He's trying to find ways to be a man. There's no way for any black male to ever be a man in the system of white supremacy. It's just not going to happen. But black males keep thinking that they can be, and it causes all kinds of problems, particularly problems with the black female. So that's automatically a collision course. You're not going to get the correct type of arrangement between black males and black females in the system of white supremacy. It's not going to happen. See, that's another reason. A lot of people say that, well, I don't have time to be bothered with this thing called racism. I got my own life to get together. Well, you're not going to get anything together. If you talk about black males and black females in the system of white supremacy, it's not going to happen. That's impossible for you to have the type of relationship that a relationship should be, and you're a person of color in the system of white supremacy. It doesn't compute that way. That's why you have to get rid of the system of white supremacy before any of this can happen. And so you will have black males who are imitating all of the females in the house, because that's all that's left, who are the compensatory leaders, if you can call it that, but they can't be leaders because they're subject to all of that, the system of racism and everything that goes with it. They're struggling the best they can,
right,
alone. They have no male to help them. They can't depend on a male. They know that. We're completely undependable because we can't depend on ourselves as black males. Let's tell it like it is.
Wow.
All right? Amazing. We are not men. It's impossible to be a man
in the system of
white supremacy if you are a male of color. So, what the white supremacists are telling the black males, you can be some type of wild animal, some type of brute, or King Kong that needs to be in chains and all like that, and worshiping a white woman or something like that from the top of the Empire State Building, and we send that message to you. That's one thing you can be, some type of wild animal. If you want to be a man, you can't be a man, but you can be some type of wild animal, and that's sort of like a man, okay? Now, if you don't want to be that, and I'll put chains on you if you're that, and I will kill you. I will shoot you down in the streets on the run if you're going to be a King Kong, all right? Because that's what we do with King Kongs, okay? Now, if you don't want to be that, and you're a black male, then you can be like your mothers and your sisters.
Right.
You will start you off early, putting earrings, one earring in one ear, and then in a little while, put another earring in the other ear.
That's true.
That's almost a characteristic of the average black male, and you can almost tell he was raised by females when he gets in that habit. That's a dead giveaway. He usually got that. If you look at his background, it probably came up in a house full of females. And not only that, at some point, when he was a little boy, he tried on his mother's shoes. Why? That's the only pair of shoes in the house.
Right.
It's all females in there. All right? and trying to be males themselves because they are given the job of being males. So the black female is becoming more and more masculinized.
Right. Wow.
You know?
Right before
I mean, put a hard hat on her. Put her out there with the rest of the males and have her compete.
Wow.
And she's doing everything she can, I mean, you know, to hold on to her femininity. But it ain't going to happen because they are going to turn her into a male and turn her son into a female. That's the white supremacist plan all over the world in order to do what? Cause confusion. See, what the white supremacists thrive on is confusion and all this flexor sex and anti-sex and confuser sex and any kind of sex. I mean, they call everything sex. That's all aimed at the non-white people of this planet. It's a white supremacist conspiracy from A to Z. And of course, a lot of black people might say, well, a lot of white people are, into this and all like that. So, they wouldn't be doing it. Yes, they will. Because one thing, if you're an arch deceiver, the first thing you do, like the trick with the people who are called Indians, the people that they call the red people.
Right.
You can't get them to do anything that you're not doing yourself. People are not that dumb. Not even the non-white people, not even black people, who are the dumbest among us. If they see that you are trying to get them to do something, but you are not doing any of it yourself, they may start off doing it, but at a certain point, they will realize that you're not doing it.
Right.
And they'll say, this must be some type of trick. So even a baby can figure that out in a little while. So the white supremacists already know that. They're the shrewdest operators on this planet. So whatever they try to get non-white people to do, they do a whole bunch of it themselves first.
Mm-hmm.
If they weren't trying to get you to drink whiskey, they will drink whiskey. But here's the trick. They'll see to it that they don't drink as much as you do. All right? So they wind up with the power every time. Any male who's trying to seduce a female knows that trick.
Right.
That whiskey trick. He gets the female to drink a little bit. And then he will drink a little bit. And then he'll get her to drink a little bit more. And then he will drink a little bit more. And then that third time, he will get her to drink a whole lot more.
Right.
And then he will drink just a little bit more. So the next thing you know, both of them are drinking, but what happens? She's falling down under the table, and he's seducing her and raping her and taking advantage of her.
Yes.
And he's sober, even though he's drinking. All right? Now, it's the same thing with this sex thing. They are doing a whole lot of what they are getting the non-white people to do all over the world. And they are saying, oh, yeah, this is greater than male and female. I mean, that's old stuff. I mean, that we never should have gotten that started in the first place. We don't know how we wound up doing that. I mean, males with females? No. What we want is males with males and females with females.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they wink at each other. And then they come out among the non-white people and they farm it out. If you want to get a whole lot of help and go into show business and all like that, let them know that you believe in all this flexor sex. All right? Where sex can be anything. It doesn't have a definition. Sex has no definition. There's no such thing as gender. There's no such thing as a male and a female. You're imagining that. You're making it up. I mean, that's weird anyway. I mean, why restrict yourself? I mean, that's a restriction. That's oppression. Just having male with female? I mean, that's old-fashioned.
Right.
You don't want that. That's a bunch of garbage. That's what they're telling people. They're telling non-white people, and they are aiming at the most intelligent of non-white people first, because they have found out that thing that they say that the Nazis were good at. You can say something that doesn't make sense, and you can say it and say it and say it, and the trick is you keep saying it. Say something that makes no sense at all, Keep saying it, and people will always believe it if you say it often enough, long enough, and on a big scale. In other words, I think the philosophy was tell a lie, but tell a big one, and keep telling it until people believe it.
Wow.
And they have drawn non-white people in all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
All over the world you see them doing that. Now take that boy and tell him that, hey, you don't want to be, you ain't got no father, no way, so you don't want to be like him. That father ain't good for nothing. Look at the way he treats your mother and all like that. That's what they tell a black male and say, and look at your mother. She's kind. She's gentle. She's really taking care. You should be like your mother because you ain't got no father no how except the great white father, which is the only one that counts.
Okay. All right, caller.
Wow.
That was a...
codification is our only choice. One more little VGQ. If people, for the callers that call in,
yes.
if you mute your phone...
Mute your phone.
While you're on the phone with Mr. Fuller, and try to stand as far away from whatever you're using to access Talktainment Radio while you ask your question.
Yes.
I think the feedback will be minimized. The feedback that we're getting, I think that's what's causing a little of the distortion.
Okay, little feedback. Okay.
Right.
All right, thank you so much for your
you.
call. Good call. Okay, Mr. Fuller, let's do this quickly. TalkTainmentRadio.com, we go where you go. Download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Our topic is and will be for the next 6 weeks politics, parenthesized, people relations. You still have a little time to call in, 1-877-932-9766. If you choose to Gmail me, you can at 7, Mr. Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, at gmail.com. But it probably will not be read for a few shows here because I am stacked up with Gmails and I have not read the first one even for today. Donations, we're up to 3,800. We need 300 more, so go to the TalkTainmentRadio.com homepage and click donations, and you'll be all done. I'll have an updated list as soon as they give it to me. Let's see here. Let's continue what we had started here on page 169 of the revised expanded edition. We were talking about the three things that Mr. Fuller had already spoken to one of those three things, which was about eating and sleeping. The second one, Mr. Fuller, was you wrote as a suggestion, engages in sexual intercourse no more than 2 times every 7 days and uses a minimum of time and materials in regard to such engagement. Explain that, please, sir.
Yes, because, it's a kind of a tradition, particularly among black males in the Northwestern Hemisphere, in trying to be men, trying to find some way to express our manhood. One way that we have always tried to do that in our songs and everything, going way back, the old blues songs and all like that, is all about having sexual intercourse with a great number of females. Truth be told, that is what we associate with expressing manhood. Okay? We can't manage nothing, but we can probably manage that. All right? A whole lot of different bedrooms, running from bed to bed. Okay? So, and go around and do what? What we do best. Brag about it. To whom? To other black males. All right? That's one of our goals, quiet as it's kept. But, among what you call the alpha, I think that's what they call us. The male who really likes females and really, really likes females. Just attracted to females, not attracted to no males, attracted to females, okay? And so, if 1 is fine, well, hey, 2 must be better, maybe 7, all right? So let's get that long list in that little book that we carry and of phone numbers, and then proceed. And so what the code says, we're going to have to cut back on that. Now, that will but we need to get that down to manageable level. Why? And so, what does it say? Sexual intercourse twice weekly, no more than that, and expend very little time and resources doing it. And adequate while you're doing it, but don't try to go into a marathon thing. And there's a reason for it. It has to do not so much with the sex itself, it's with the use of time and energy. That's why it's listed under economics. It's not listed under sex. That's suggestion. Say sexual intercourse no more than twice weekly. Okay? That's listed under economics. Economics is about what? The use of time and energy. See, if you're spending a whole lot of time having marathon sex, just running from one bed to the next, you're not spending time doing other things you should be doing. All right? We're not talking about sex here. We're talking about the use of time and energy. It's taking away a whole lot of your time and taking away a whole lot of your energy doing that. And you become, in that gigoloism type thing, that pimpism type thing, where you're just in bed all the time. And so if you're in bed all the time having sexual intercourse, you're not doing other things. See, it's like an excess of anything. Mm-hmm. Anything that you do in excess, a whole lot more than necessary, then what you're doing is neglecting to do other things that are necessary.
Okay.
So you wind up not going to work on time and all that type of thing.
Yes, sir.
Next thing you know, you're fired. And then you don't even have a bed to be in. You're in somebody else's bed because they're still working. And usually it's the female. In fact, I'd like to interject this right now. Something I heard a female say some years ago. And that is, and I will incorporate that because I didn't come up with this one. A black female said this: never have a man in your bed and an eviction notice on your dresser at the same time. I'm going to say that again. Never have a male in your bed having sexual intercourse and have an eviction notice on your dresser at the same time. It's either one or the other. Either you got that eviction notice on your dresser with no mail, or you got a mail, but that eviction notice better not be on that dresser because he's supposed to be out there taking care of that eviction notice. And that is an excellent philosophy. You can incorporate that in the code. Oh. It didn't come from me.
Didn't come from you.
But that's excellent advice.
Okay.
Don't have that guy laying up there, talking about how much he loves you and all like that, and it has an eviction notice on the dresser. He's not supposed to be in that bed. He's supposed to be out there working 2 jobs getting that eviction notice off that dresser.
Gotcha. And finally, under these suggestions, you said this, or suggested this: listens to and gives maximum constructive consideration to all criticisms and does so without resentment, rancor, or contempt. Explain that, please.
Say that again.
Listens to and gives maximum, this is on page 170, listens to and gives maximum constructive consideration to all criticisms and does so without resentment, rancor, or contempt.
Absolutely. And that includes Neely Fuller writing that. That's why I wrote it. In other words, be open to criticism. And I want people to criticize me, not call in and just say, that Neely Fuller, I agree with what, you can't agree with everything that I say, I don't think, because I think I make mistakes. And I don't want to keep making those mistakes. So when people tell me, hey, Fuller, you're correct about a lot of things, but you're incorrect about this one, and tell me what it is, and I will clean that up.
All righty.
If I see that what you're talking about is what? Logical.
Okay.
Right.
We got to leave it there. Thank you for listening. This is Radio the Way It Should Be Heard. Talk to him.